All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Today we have Val Romero, who is running for TUSD Governing Board. So as we've done in the past, the way we'll do this is the Val and I will be as we are right now, and we'll talk and all that. But the other attendees will be muted. And what I'll do is I'll ask Val to tell us a little bit about himself, and then I have like a collection of questions I'm asking everybody. In the meantime, if you have questions for Val, just put them in the chat function. And once I get through the big stuff, then we'll filter through yours. And we are, I think, ready to go. So Val, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, my name is Val Romero. I'm actually a Tucson native. Graduated from South Point Catholic High School. I actually own Arizona Grill and Hearth. It's my business. My daughter and I, she kind of runs the business with me. Let's see, been here, involved in a lot of different community organizations. And community is really huge with me. I've been in some different organizations. I'm a member of like SAVA, Southern Arizona Home Builder Associations, interior designs. So I've been involved in a lot of community partnerships throughout our community, and I love Tucson. I've left for Phoenix for 1 year, and I said never doing that ever again. I'm glad to be back. But yes, I'm a dad. I've got now two grandchildren. I've got my granddaughter Penny, and my daughter just had a son. His name is Michael, and he's 5 weeks today.
All right. Okay, so you're running for TUSD board right now. But you also are running, if I have this right, you're also running for Tucson City Council.
I ran for Tucson City Council last year.
Right.
So back in 2021. So currently I've changed my efforts on the TUSD school board. I was looking to see what other options were available to get into leadership within our community, because I do feel that Tucson community does need some leadership change-ups in certain different things. I know I'm not a legislator, so I didn't want to do state, Senate, or House or anything like that. I'm in my life, I got a daughter, a granddaughter, or now grandson. I work with the youth at my church, and I've always been like with the youth aspect of it, been involved somehow, way, shape, or form. So when I looked into TUSD, I looked at this as I could be a benefit for this position to help within our community and bring some leadership to TUSD. So the city council last year didn't make it, but this year I'm for city council or TUSD.
Okay, and just to clarify, I was looking on your Facebook page for your campaign. You are not running for city council next year?
No, that election's every 4 years for my ward.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
So it's not going to come back until 2025.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So one of the big issues in education in Arizona is the voucher program. All right. So recently the legislature greatly expanded that program. So I want to get your take. What do you think about vouchers, and what would you do about their impact on TUSD?
So first of all, being as a business owner, my mind works as if I were running a business, and that's the same thing when elected to TUSD. That's my mindset, is like running TUSD as a district or as a business. So to me, I believe the voucher thing is great. It's great and for opportunity for TUSD. So what has happened in the past? Same thing with any type of business. If I'm just a business that were given money from the government to keep doing what I was doing without improving, then I wouldn't be in business for very, very long. For me, iron sharpens iron. If you want to, recruit good teachers to TUSD, retain good teachers to TUSD, we need to now have to work at becoming a much better school district. I know right now there was something that came out from KGUN 9 in February that right now Arizona public schools are 50 out of 50 across the United States. And that's not positive for our youth and our students in our community. So we need to figure out a way to get better as a district, and not all people learn the same. Some people are studious. Some people learn a different way. That's why we have so many different charter schools, private schools, Montessori schools. Children need to be educated the way that they need to know. Now, parents actually have an option to assist their kids to get better educations. Now, when it comes to how it's going to affect TUSD, that's come down to the budget aspect of it. So now we're going to have to get smart on how we're going to use this money, work our budget a little bit better. If it's getting rid of a top-heavy administration, we can do that. I know TUSD has money. There was something that came out August 28th from the Arizona Daily Star. TUSD spent $480,000 for 27.5 acres of land for schools in the future. That's a lot of money that could be spread out going to teachers. If we're talking about the future of TSD on something like this, what about the future of TUSD when it comes to teachers, teacher retention, paying our teachers a proper wage compensation? So for me, I think that option is, and then that could probably take some students away from TUSD, because one of the other facts that I had was that the highest number of students per teacher were 50 out of 50 in the United States. If we can get some of those students to different schools, now that number comes smaller. Maybe we can teach our kids a little bit better. So in my opinion, TUSD has a great opportunity to become better because of this, where the money's going for kids in other areas, and then the amount of people that are flooding our public school system lightens up, so it becomes more manageable, and TUSD can become better, and we can get from the bottom of the barrel as far as public schools.
All right, and you kind of touched on, teacher retention. That's a problem locally, statewide, and in the whole country. Could you just kind of directly address that, what you would do to retain teachers?
Well, same thing like I would do in business. If I want to retain a qualified employee or tradespeople, you need to pay them what they're worth. Teachers, the ones that I've talked to, they have a lot of passion when it comes to the kids and why they're doing this, and it's a love and passion that these people have that they want to share with these children. But at the same time, how much money are you willing to use of yours to be a teacher, where you can go to a charter school or a different community, make more money where they appreciate you for the skills that you have? So the biggest thing is we need to figure out a way to pay them more money. How does that look like? We need to, again, go at the budget to find out where there's extra money. If we need to cut administration costs, find out a way to make it happen, because we're not getting talent in teachers to our community, because as mentioned on this article, lowest teacher salary, we're 49 out of 50 for the United States. There's no draw other than maybe our weather, but at the end of the day, the weather doesn't pay your bills. So, and then based on paying them the proper compensation, now we need to find out what other things we need to keep them and retain them here in our community. I've heard the talk of, grow them locally, but again, if the pay isn't there and they're a good qualified teacher, more than likely they're going to leave our community, and that's going to leave us high and dry when it comes to these things, and we don't have qualified teachers to do the job that we need. So the biggest thing is focus on our teachers' pay is going to be number one thing we need to do, because without that, we can just rotate teachers in and out till they find a better job. And I've seen that with some different schools, that a lot of schools are losing teachers to different areas in TUSD.
Mm-hmm. One of the strategies that's on a small scale is to hire a third-party company to provide teaching. Do you support something like that?
So what I've known with third-party things, or now we're spending money that, so say this group comes out of Illinois or New York or something like this. So we're paying this money for this organization to give us substitute teachers, but the substitute teachers are only making a certain amount of money from this company, and they're taking the bulk of the monies that's going to it. Now, financially, if you're getting good quality teachers I guess that's great. But now if we're taking our TUSD local money, giving it to another state and not giving that pay to a teacher or just paying to another administration, that kind of defeats the purpose, in my opinion, again, as a business person. There is time and place when those are necessary, but I'd rather find something locally that we can use and pay these teachers accordingly, as opposed to paying the organization that hires these teachers from a third party somewhere out of Arizona.
Mhm. Okay. We have another big time issue is school safety. You know, in the context of the school shooting at Uvalde, you know, we need to figure something out. What do you think that TUSD should do to make sure that students are safe at school?
Well, unfortunately, back to this study, student safety, Arizona Public Schools was listed 45th out of 50. So we have a safety issue already. We've been very fortunate not to have the gun situations that have happened in a couple other schools. Unfortunately, there's been gun shootings or school shootings since the 1760s. Before the United States was even the United States, when we were just the colonies of America. But currently, in our current state, I believe we need to have somebody there as far as security for the safety of our children in that area. I'm not saying arm everybody with a gun, but at the same time, if there's somebody there that's security, then I believe anybody that would be interested in doing something bad will think twice, because the chances are of what can happen. Unfortunately, we don't know what goes through a lot of these kids' minds. You know, it could be a breakup, it could be something going on in their life, family issues, you know, all those situations, you know, all over the place. But just in general, being 45th out of 50 when it comes to school safety, there's other issues that we need to address. Having counselors is great. One of the other things that was on this study was student to counselor ratio in Arizona Public Schools, 716 to 1. The recommended standard across the United States is 250 to 1. We don't have enough counselors either to assist kids that are having, you know, need someone to talk to, need someone to go to. So the public school system is failing in so many different ways. We're not gonna be able to change this overnight, but in the interim, let's have school security. Let's figure out how to raise the counselors to a much better ratio. Again, that goes back to teacher retention, bringing teachers in, bringing counselors in, bringing librarians in, bringing nurses in, all across the board. What do we need to do to support our children in our schools? It's got to be our focus on this, and give them a nice, safe place that they can learn and grow and flourish within our community, because that's also the Tucson's community labor pool is coming from a lot from our public schools. You know, as a business owner and knowing many business owners across the city, we have a hard time with labor right now, and we're bringing in people from different states or different cities to pay them accommodating wage so that they stay here to do the job. If our education system fails our students, it's ultimately failing our community.
Okay, and so you have you know, you cited a lot of rankings, right, for Arizona schools relative to the country, and one of the ways that we derive those is standardized testing. And in the past, that's been fairly controversial. I don't know, it seems like it's become, there are other issues that have superseded it, but what do you think about standardized testing? Is that good for students?
It's not, I don't believe it's the best way to all humans are different. We all learn differently. You know, we can take a test and pass a test if we study and we memorize and we do different things, and we can get that passing grade. But it really doesn't show the capacity of what that student, that child has to offer for the greater good of the community. It's a good as a benchmark to see kind of where they are on the book smart. But other than that, it shouldn't be the end all of everything, saying, well, you are on the lower tier of the standardized test, so, you know, we're going to have to work on you a little bit more. This person could be great with his hands, could be a great tradesperson, a great skilled, a carpenter or whatever the case may be. And their, calculus and geometry skills are not what they want to be, because that's just not how this human has been wired. So standardized testings, it's okay as a guide, end all be all. I don't think so.
Mhm. Okay. We are emerging from a pandemic, and it's been a rough go for students. And there was recent reports about a learning loss, that some students have lost almost years of their education. What would you do so that TUSD students get back up to speed?
Well, unfortunately, we had that situation. What we need to focus on now is getting back on track. So if we're going to fix these last 2 years, we are going to have to actually change a lot of things. We need to get our focus back on the future. K through 3, we need to get them to reading, writing, math at grade level, because without this strong foundation at the younger grades, our students are going to get farther behind. Now these kids that have lost the time, that are now in high school, moving on to college, there's really not much the district can do for them, because they're past that point. Yes, the ones that were like 4th, 5th, 6th, now moving into high school, what do we do for maybe tutoring projects to help get students back into that area where they need to be at learning level? It's going to be very difficult. Again, like, some kids are never going to get those back, and it's going to stunt them, unfortunately. And we need to reach out to those that want to get to where they are, and help counsel and teach them to get to that level. But that's going to take money. How do we do that? How do you do it on the full scope? I believe there's 88 schools in TUSD. So there's a lot of children that impacted. So unfortunately, there might not be a lot we can do for those students that went through that period, but let's not do that with our future. Let's make sure we get back to the beginning, our K through 3, focus a lot on them, and then see how it comes to be, how we can assist other people that are behind, and not just pass them. I think that's another issue. We're just passing these children along without giving them the tools that they need to succeed. So that would be, I guess, my focus would be K through 3 originally.
Okay. All right. Pardon my dogs.
That's okay.
So also, we have the desegregation, right? So TUSD, the way I understand, TUSD Governing Board is going to have a lot more control than they did in the past. How do you plan to, like, safeguard, like, that we don't end up in the situation we were in the 1960s and 70s?
You're right. And this has been going on for 45, 50 years. And this needs to stop. Now that it's back in TUSD's hands, we got to not do what we did in the past, where we start violating these rules that we're supposed to follow, and then the court takes over again. We need to make sure that whoever we have in charge of following these rules and regulations is monitored and watched, and reports are given. The amount of money and resources that have been taken away from this DSEG for all these years, I don't know what it is, but I can't imagine how astronomical that number is. TUSD Governing Board needs to make sure that whoever's needs to be doing this, the committee, they need to make sure they comply at all costs, and they need to be held accountable by the TUSD Governing Board. If we see something that's not right with what they're doing or not following the rules, we need to call them out, and we need to correct those things. But we have an opportunity to finally correct and be done with this, but we need to make sure we follow the rules so that we can drop these lawsuits and move forward.
Okay. And so in your on your Facebook page for your campaign, you talk about CRT, critical race theory, and you also talk about teacher wokeness. What do you mean by teacher wokeness?
So there's a ideology that's being taught within our schools, and they're not teaching the education aspect of it. Not all teachers. There's a few people that are committed to this different ideology. Within this ideology, they're not focusing on the core things in education. They're teaching, like with CRT, they are teaching racial discrimination. They're not teaching unification within our students. We are not as humans, normally we're not a racial discriminating people. I don't know where all this came from, but I'm 51 years old. I have no idea. It doesn't matter what color your skin is, who you are, what race, what religion, what anything you are, you're a human being. We all believe the same. You know, there's no reason to promote anything that produces anger and hatred toward races, religions, or anything. So those are some of the things that need to be dropped out of school, are politics as far as ideology politics. You know, we need to focus on how do we get Arizona out of 50 from 50 education-wise in our public schools. How do we elevate that? How do we teach our kids math, writing, reading, all the other history in our schools? That should be the focus, not ideologies.
So this comes up quite a bit in the letters to the editor. And you know, something happens in the news and critical race theory, you know, rises up. Inevitably, we have you know, people like teachers are saying, like, what are you talking about? Like we don't teach that at TUSD. Could you give an example of critical race theory being taught at TUSD?
So I don't have my notebook where that has that, but if you like, I will go ahead and forward that to an email to you.
Okay, but off the top of your head, you don't have an example?
No, I don't have the exact school. There was something, an article that I had read that mentioned it with TUSD, but I can write myself a note to email that to you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So unfortunately, like I said, for me, I want to keep that out of my campaign. I want to focus on teaching our students and working on education.
Okay, I just want to be clear that I pulled this from your Facebook page for your campaign. So
okay.
Okay, so also we have on your campaign website, you have a video to the with a person connected to with the veil protests at a school board meeting.
Okay.
It's a 5-minute video. You have a news section, and this is the video. Val Romero responds to Vail School District refusal to address parent concerns. And in the school board candidate interviews that we've done, like the idea of parental rights comes up, and I don't know, I'm not quite sure what you're getting at in this video, but could you just kind of tell us, are you concerned with parental rights, and if so, what do you mean?
So again, depending on which video that was probably last year when I was running for city council. It was an interview with Drew Heaton was the moderator out there.
That's not right.
Okay.
Okay.
So, you know, basically the parents wanted to speak at a meeting, and the Vail Governing Board didn't refuse to let the teacher speak, and they canceled the meeting. You know, it's a long drawn out thing. There's plenty of things on there to watch the video. It went national. But in that time, again, with the Vail School District, the parents had a voice and they had concerns with their children and their schoolings. But instead of listening to the parents, the school board of Vail decided, we're closing it. We're not going to have a meeting. We're out of here. As somebody as a governing board member, I believe that should have been handled differently.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the parents should have had their opportunity to speak versus hiding behind a monitor or emails or something along the lines like that. When, especially mothers are very passionate about their kids. They love their kids. If they feel that their kids are being hurt or taught wrong or anything, they're going to reach out and they're going to lash out because they have this burning desire to protect their children. I believe it's every right of the parents to vocalize their concerns. Even at the TUSD meetings, they have the call to the audience. These are teachers, these are parents, these are people in the community that want to voice their opinion to the governing board because there's issues that need to be addressed. I don't believe a lot of the governing board, addresses all these issues. It's more just listen to, and I've gone to a couple of these board meetings, so it's not like it's I'm making this up. They'll listen to it. Okay, we listened, we heard. Next, who's got the next 3 minutes? So, being somebody in the governing board that's going to be more of an advocate for parents and students is somebody that I will be. I will always let those parents talk. And if they need to talk to me one-on-one, I'm always going to be there available for them and understand and, address their concerns. So parents to me are the key point to a lot of our public schools. And if the parents don't like what's going on in the district, you got these vouchers, they're gone. If we don't focus at who our clients are, they'll go to the next company, the next school, to get what they want for their children.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So I don't know if we have any questions from our readers. Yeah, so if you would like to, you want to take a minute or two and just kind of, give your pitch about why people should vote for you.
Well, first of all, thank you again very, very much for having me this afternoon. I appreciate it greatly. For me, I bring a business approach to the governing board. That's my mindset. That's how my mind works. How do we fix budgets? How do we make money go as far as we can? Pay per performance, if we're failing in something, how do we fix it? What works, doesn't work? What do we need to change? Come up with solutions for the issues that are in TUSD that's been in the past, and then also moving forward. We can't continue to live back in the rearview mirror. We need to find out how we can improve TUSD for the long run, for our future, so that we become one of the better school districts, not just in Arizona, but in the country. How do we get to that point? If we continue to do the same things we've been doing, we're destined to be 49th out of 50 as far as public schools in Arizona, or sorry, the United States.
Okay, great, thank you. And I'm going to do my little plug here. So we have tomorrow at 10 a.m. we have Jennifer Ekstrom also running for TUSD board. September 15th at noon, we have Amy Bola, Amy Kraus, and Gina Memert, who are running for Catalina Foothills School District Governing Board. And we'll have many more after that as well. So anyway, Val, thank you so much for taking the time to join us and to answer questions. I very much appreciate you doing that.